Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 4 of Vampire Academy. This is Benchmark. Okay, I have a lot of notes on this episode because, a lot happened. If you've missed my reviews of the 3 previous episodes, I will link the playlist of all of them up above so you can go and check that out. But for this video, we're going to be talking about episode 4. One thing that I forgot to mention, because there was so much else to talk about, is that at the end of episode 3, we find out that Lissa is no longer going to be the heir to the throne because she has lost the right to vote on the council due to the fact that all of her family is dead. And that's kind of a problem. So that's going to be a big piece of what is addressed in this episode, but only one of many pieces, because as I said in the last video, there is a lot going on in this show. There are so many threads, there are so many characters, and I'm so curious to see how they're going to pull it all together. I will say that I really liked this episode a lot. While it did feel a little chaotic at times, I am interested in the different characters. I'm interested in all of the different plot threads. I thought that the character interactions were really strong in terms of acting, and just generally this was a very positive episode for me. So we ended episode 3 with Victor collapsing on the floor. We don't know for sure what's going on, but probably Tatiana was involved in trying to kill him, or something else is going on. We don't know for sure, but his daughter Sonia apparently healed him. And Sonia's arc in this show and in this episode is really interesting. I haven't talked too much about her before. She ends up becoming a little more central here as we learn more about her ability. She's the only other person we're really aware of who has this spirit ability. She was the one who had been sent away for many years, but secretly can clearly still practice it. But there is a dark side to it, and we see that especially at the end of the episode when she revives this bird and her eyes turn super black, and there are a lot of questions. What exactly is going on? What is the darkness that is resulting from the type of magic that she's using? What can we expect to see? And the fact that Lissa is going around and researching this kind of magic, where is Lissa headed as well is another question we have. We get some scenes with Victor and Robert together, and it's just lovely. We have these 2 beautiful Black men in a relationship with each other, and I just love to see that kind of representation on screen. I like their whole family and their dynamic. They're just really, really sweet together, and I am a fan. Tatiana, of course, is taking advantage of what's going on with Lissa to put herself forward on the council as a potential replacement. She wants political power. She is making big moves, and we don't know exactly what her motives are, but not all of the things she's doing are great. She says she wants to put Moroi first, which, is definitely this dog whistle sort of language of we're gonna put the elite, better Moroi first instead of making things equal for the Damphir or for the non-royal Moroi. Also involved with the council is this movement to lower the age of Damphir guardianship to 16, which is horrific on its own, but I think also a nod to the age of our main characters. We know that Rose and Lissa are about to graduate, in which case they must be at least 18, because the 16-year-olds who we see in a couple of shots are very, very young looking, and they literally get referred to by other characters as toddlers. So I will reiterate what I've said in other videos. I love the fact that the showrunners made the decision not to have Rose be a minor. We are not depicting a relationship between a minor and an adult with Dimitri, which is especially important in this episode because things are definitely heating up between the 2 of them. We've got tension ratcheting up, we've got a lot more intense moments between them, and I think we can expect probably in the next couple of episodes to see that move into something more. One of the big plot threads in episode 4 is the benchmark trials. That is in fact the title of the episode, and these are interesting. These are the trials to see who the best Damphir guardians are. They go through a series of these trials, and the first one is matching them to be guardians to Moroi, where they will have to defend them against simulated attacks. The way they do these is really interesting. Everybody has these pouches of fake blood on their neck, and if the blood gets torn, that means that they're dead, and so we kind of see that play out throughout this episode. Meanwhile, Lissa discovers that one way she can regain her council seat is by getting married to a distant cousin who is distant enough that it's not incestuous, but enough blood of her family that she now has quorum to join the council. So that's awkward. She has very few options, and clearly this episode seems to be setting us up for Jessie Zeklos being her best option, which I don't love that. I will say we get this montage of her on these speed dates with guys who are sort of awful. I think it's a little over the top and less than realistic, which leaves us with Jessie, who is a complete and total creep and ass. But, you know, I predict Alyssa is probably going to get engaged to him. So, it's going to be interesting. This is the episode 2, which I mentioned in my last video, where Jessie's character is attempted to be a little bit complicated. I think we're supposed to have a little more empathy for him. We see his relationship with his dad, who is horrible and abusive. And while that is bad, it also does not excuse Jessie's behavior. He makes a lot of choices in his own right. And in fact, one of the most disturbing scenes in this episode is this one where he meets up with a blood whore and almost strangles her while trying to kind of get off. And it's number one disturbing because it's depicting this level of sexual violence against women, but also because it feels like a nod to what you do to become a Strigoi, which are kind of the evil vampires. So I don't know how effective this thing of trying to build some kind of complication or empathy into the character of Jessie is working for me. I don't like him. I think he kind of sucks, but we'll see where future episodes go. Meanwhile, Christian has a lot going on. He is somehow getting messages from Strigoi, and we know that his parents intentionally became Strigoi, and he is still grieving that loss. That is a big theme in this episode, is grief and loss, and also this question of whether the Strigoi truly are just mindless monsters or whether some degree of care and humanity is left in them. He gets invited to go alone to a place off campus where he's not supposed to be to meet his mom, and he decides to go, even though it ends up being super dangerous. A lot of people are put at risk as a result, but he does go. He does have this conversation with his mother, and I don't think it solved any of the questions for him. I think he is going to be determined to really want to reconnect with his parents, because I think he believes that they're still in there somehow, that they still love him, they still care about him, and clearly there have been these coordinated attacks from Strigoi, so it opens up a lot of questions about what really is known of them. That said, we still don't know who the insider is. We know that with previous episodes, there have been these attacks by Strigoi where they must have had inside help. Who is that help? Is it Jessie? Is it his dad? Is it Tatiana? We don't really know. This is an open question that I think we will hopefully get answered by the end of the season. Another small plot thread in this episode is the relationship between Mason and Rose. I said in an earlier episode that they seem to be setting Mason up as a potential love interest for kind of a love triangle with her. We did see them have more casual hookups, but their relationship seems to be more of a friendship than anything else. This episode, however, I feel like we're moving into frenemy territory, where he ends up calling her out for being selfish because he was in charge of monitoring Christian when he went off campus. He didn't say anything about it. She reported it, which did in fact save them, but he's upset because he wanted to win the trials so that he could go on this tour and see his dad, because his dad is a royal, hasn't reached out to him, and he is missing him. There are a lot of these kind of parent abandonment wounds on the show. A lot of the characters have been deeply hurt by their lack of connection with parents, so that seems to be something that's a through line that we are continuing to explore. This is just a small note, but I really, really love this old woman who is one of the human feeders in the feeder room. She has this conversation in this episode with Christian, and she's just so kind and sweet, and I like her so much. I really hope she doesn't turn out to be a villain eventually, because that would be a bummer, because right now she's like almost this grandmother, hippie grandmother character is what it feels like, which is interesting, but I like her a lot as a side character. Then at the very end of the episode, we find out that Victor went to see a doctor. He's got some kind of genetic health issue. We don't know specifically what that is, but I feel really bad for him and his family. This is all coming at the same time when he ended up agreeing to remove protection from non-royal Moroi, which puts his own husband at risk. So I'm just like, bracing for tragic things happening with their lovely family. And, can we not have the bury our gays trope in this show? That would be great. Still waiting for that sapphic relationship to heat up, but I feel like it's going to be coming in a future episode, so stay tuned. Then, of course, at the very, very end, Tatiana comes in with this brilliant idea of pitting trainees against this Strigoi they captured in that earlier attack, so I'm sure that's going to go very well for all parties. That is episode 4. There was a lot going on. I want to see more interaction between Lissa and Rose. I feel like we didn't get a lot of that in here, and I want to see more of their friendship focused on. But it's hard because there are so many relationships and so many characters and limited time on screen that we're trying to follow all of these different things. Arguably, there might be too many plot threads. Again, I think I said that in the previous video. There is so much that we're perhaps not getting the amount of time spent on characters and relationships that I would like to see, but overall, I am enjoying the show and I'm having a pretty good time with it. I will be back in the next few days with my thoughts on episode 5. I'm working on getting caught up so that I can get you reviews of episodes closer to when they are actually releasing. So look forward to that as we move into October. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts or feelings on the show. What did you think of episode 4? What are your thoughts on these difficult parent issues that we have coming up? There was a lot of loss and abandonment and grief. How are the characters going to work through those things? What are things you're enjoying? What are things you would like to see differently? Talk to me about it in the comments below. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.